So I think with the wading pool, we want to give the comfort level a little easier so they can kind of just dip their toes, as Ted would say. And I think with the wading pool, you also have somebody inside to kind of like pull you in deeper, so the community actually becomes a little stronger. There's a tight relationship there. That ties into the reward system too, in the sense that you kind of build up this ranking and profile, and so in some sense
it helps you build identity within the community. So like one of the structural aspects we're looking at is having like a community manager who is that sort of driving force within the community, but then also, you know, other people who become, you know, community experts. I mean, they're a go-to source, and they you know, have a higher ranking, and so we give the community tools to self-organize.
Right. That was really key.
And I'm sorry, I'm just aware of time, and I'll just go to the question here.
Yeah, well, the first small question is just what you said about the fear of joining a community. Did anyone else research on this and would have a different opinion? So you will agree there is a fear of joining a community? Yeah, okay.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
No.
Okay. Do you want to
elaborate?
I think it's like the internet is different. They build communities, but they made it in real life more than in internet. And actually they use, for example, Facebook in another way. We found that before we were thinking that they use it like we do, but they do it in a different way. For example, they just have their personality built, so they don't need to tell others how they want to be, because Facebook in young people works more in that way. Like they want to tell others how they want to be, but they just build their personality. So it's a different way to build communities. They do it in real life, and they do it differently in internet.
Because my research is that usually online communities evolve organically, and it's because someone is in the community that brings the next one and the next one, and there's absolutely no fear of being part of a community in that way, as you are introduced by friends and other people you admire.
Which is why we have student work up there.
So it will be interesting that maybe after you have a discussion as groups and find your insights. By now, each team may have a different perception of
what we found sort of broadly along those lines, though, is that in this demographic there seems to be more direct links within these communities. So these people bring them in and they interact with the same people, or perhaps people who have broadly the same views as they do. And so our goal was sort of to change that pattern, because most structures that seem to be designed for this demographic on the internet seem to conform to that. With this demographic, we're trying to kind of turn them into more dynamic users where they give and take, and that was our key.
And the other thing
because that doesn't.
and the other thing we're keeping in mind is, while we're looking at the current 50+ demographic, you know, they're digital immigrants, whereas the new users that are going to be forming and joining, I mean, they're going to have a very different perspective, different variety of, you know, consumer habits when it comes to online. So we're also looking at creating a more generic platform that will allow those new users to adapt. We don't want to kind of, you know, pigeonhole, and I think that's why when we look at the demographic, we're not looking at them in age segmentations, but rather lifestyle and behaviours and those from that perspective, because, you know, we're assuming that, you know, they want this website to be up and running in 5, 10, 15 years' time, and you're going to be dealing with a completely different, you know, group of people who have different behaviours and
on that, we'll finish it. Thanks very much indeed.